Good morning and a very good day to all of you. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where it is a very nice 14 degrees Celsius, 58 degrees Fahrenheit. And this morning's safari is dedicated to Katie Kula, dedicated to her niece Christina Siula and Eric Tyler, and I quote, to my loving husband Noel and our two beautiful daughters Kristen and Caroline. So thank you very much. We look forward to dealing with your questions today, and we hope you enjoy the morning safari. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Davisito on camera, and as you can probably see over there on the other side of Vuetela Dam, we have got a herd of sleeping buffaloes. Morning, boys and girls out there. Please, we'd love to hear any kids' questions from you. Please send through questions at kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We were told about this little herd of buffalo from the dam cam, which is live, always watching what's going on around this watering hole. And this is very normal for a buffalo herd to be lying down in the morning like this, but you can see, here we go, one is getting up, this female in the front. She is going to slowly start leading the herd, and the rest of them will get up soon and pretty sure will come down and have a drink. We call it bedding down. A buffalo probably drink at night and then they go through a bit of a feeding session before then doing exactly what you can see and sitting down chewing the cud and leaving a lot of mess and waste behind in the form of dung before moving off again and continuing their day. So we're just going to sit with them, see what they do. We're in a really nice spot if they come down to drink, because they should come down towards one of these lower areas, and well, we're in a good spot for that. We're not in the way. We've got a nice wide lens to be able to take in the whole scene as it unfolds. So, a beautiful partial lunar eclipse last night, which we were not able to see because it has been cloudy all evening. It always seems to be the case here. The last few wonderful full moons and eclipses that we had were cloudy. The cloud does make things a little bit warmer, almost like a blanket, keeping the heat inside. It's going to take them a while to limber up and get moving. When they do, they'll move as one. Ooh. Hello Jasmine, age 12. You want to know how much water a buffalo drinks per year. Now Jasmine, I can't do the maths for you in my head right now, but when a buffalo drinks in one go, and they normally drink 2 times a day minimum, they can drink 36 litres in one go. They put their mouth in the water and they drop their diaphragm and they just swallow 36 litres. Now that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water, and they do that at least twice a day. Obviously smaller buffaloes drink a lot less than bigger buffaloes, so on average it's about there. But in a year, times what's that, 72 by 365, there we go, 27,000 litres of water. So that's about 2,000 gallons or so. There's a lot of water. That's a lot of water, and they are very dependent on water, and these watering points that we have in and around the reserves are very important focal points excuse me, for buffalo. And especially as the winter months, which we go into now, we are in winter, get drier and drier. You know, buffalo, if you want to find them, just go towards water points and track them away. There's some noises going on there. Baby Dalby says a baby just got pushed. They make some wonderful sounds, buffaloes. Very bovine. Love the smell. We've had buffalo on the property all week and I haven't had any lions. So today I think is the day. There's probably 2 herds of buffalo on the property currently. And no doubt the other one is behaving very similarly to this one at the moment. You see in the front there, that one chewing. When they lay down, these animals, ruminants, chew the cud. They don't actually physically sleep. Can you imagine that? They sit like that and they automatically regurgitate the food in the belly and they chop it up finer and finer and finer for maximum digestion and absorption of nutrients. But while doing that very slow, methodical chewing, they are essentially resting. Their body resting on the ground, their brain drops to that of a sleeping or meditating organism, and they get all the rest that they need. It's a very important strategy when you have animals trying to hunt you and eat you while you sleep. Ruminants have that ability to feed in times when conditions are cooler, and then when conditions are much warmer, they can go and relax in the shade. But always alert to the presence of any danger around. Just going to leave you a moment to listen to the dawn chorus. Well, surprise everybody. A good friend of mine is back and she'd like to say good morning.
Oh, why, thank you, Steve. I didn't know it was such a cute surprise, but definitely these 2 little ones are even cuter. We're at the Hyena den, everyone, and Ribbon has her 2 little ones out, and I'm so excited to see them. They've grown so much in the 3 weeks that I've been away. And they're rough and tumbling, just like good hyena cubs should be. Hello everyone, it's me, Trishal, and I'm back, and I'm very happy. We've got BK on camera as well. He was a bit early with his thumb. He thinks his name's Trishal as well. I'm really happy to see you all through the camera, and I hope that you're happy to see me too. And especially, we're happy to see these wonderful cubbies. I remember the first time we saw them. It was at the end of March. And now they're starting to get spotty around the neck and the legs. Just lovely. Ribbon, as usual, is, I suppose, doing what the mother of twins would usually do. Just try and relax a little bit, especially when they can keep themselves busy. And a stick is a great toy. It's so important for little mammals to play around and to fight with each other and get to know other members of their species and how they interact with them and even different species. That's how they learn what's right and what's okay to do and what's not okay to do. Perhaps biting your mother's leg is not okay. You can't learn that unless you try biting your mother's leg. But please, kids, don't go around biting your mom's legs. Or jumping on top like that. Oh, they're venturing so close. I took a chance at coming here this morning because the sun's not out. It's not terribly warm just yet. I'm sure Steve would have said to you it's about 14 degrees Celsius, 58 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun is not out. And generally, they like when it's nice and warm, especially since they're little, so they lose heat very quickly. So I took a chance, and I'm very glad that this chance paid off. Hi, Jasmine. How are you? You're 12 years old and you'd like to know if hyena babies may be by other adult hyenas that are not their parents. It can happen. It has been recorded. In fact, I don't know if you know, Jasmine, but hyena mums or females are actually bigger than males. And one of the reasons that could be is that hyena mums need to protect their cubs against males or females, I suppose, that would come along and try to kill them. It doesn't happen very often. In fact, it's in textbooks you hear it or you see it quoted quite a bit, but in my experience, I have not seen it. And we've spent a lot of time with this clan. It is more likely, as you could probably see there, that siblings may actually kill each other. That's because they're very competitive. They want to be on top. And the hyena social system or hierarchy works in a way that you have to have a rank. You know, just like in the army, you have a rank. Maybe you're right at the top, maybe you're right at the bottom. And the only way to get up there is to prove yourself and to fight, and that's what hyena do. So these two little ones will be already actually have asserted which one is dominant and which one is submissive. And by watching them, you might actually be able to tell. Usually if there's two of the same sex, that is two females or two males, it's quite clear who's dominant. But at the moment, they're both pretty much equal. But we're going to stay here and we're going to keep on watching them. And while we do that, we're going to send you over to Rowan at andBeyond in Ngala because he is following a leopard.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. It's me, Rowan, and then behind the camera, Odie. We have a Ngala female leopard here somewhere. So we've been trying to keep up with her, and she is... Can you mute your phone? She is marking territory. There's a hyena coming into this equation as well. Your phone's not on mute, bro. Anyway, so we've been trying to keep up with her. She's walked in from the eastern boundary into our property. Whew. And I can tell you, it's not been easy. It has really not been easy. But now there's a hyena coming into this area as well, also following her and us. She's turning around again. Okay, so let's... You can hear her snarling at the hyena. She's quite grumpy. Owen, can you see her? Okay, so Owen's got the tip of her ear there. There she is. She's not having a very nice Saturday morning at all. Quite grumpy today. I think now she's trying to get away from this hyena. Let's slink away. Nathan and Carter, age 11, asking if lions and leopards throw up big hairballs like cats do. Not quite, Nathan and Carter. They can actually... It's quite funny, every now and then you drive around on the road. Ooh, sorry, I'm just trying to maneuver here as much as I possibly can, like a 60-point turn. They poo it out quite often, but there's a hyena Odie on our left. Yes, this leopard's really not chosen the easiest place to come into. Often you hear them coughing up little hairballs, but it's not quite like a cat gets rid of it, not like a domestic cat. Hey, Nathan and Kat, I'm just trying to find this leopard again. Quite a bit of multitasking going on here. There's Hyena. I think he's also looking for this leopard. So last she was seen walking this way. There's so much going on around here. It took us a while, so Owen spotted her crossing the road, you know, coming in a westerly direction across the boundary onto andBeyond and Ngala, and then it took a long while for us to find her, and eventually what we saw was she lifted her tail. There she is. Her tail, you can see that white tip on the tail, so that's basically the main thing I'm looking for now. So she's walking right in front of us, not running away from us, which is quite nice, but walking quite steadily. So we don't know, we're not too sure where her youngster is. Let's try and maneuver through here. So she would have left her youngster and just patrolling her territory, maybe even trying looking for something to feed on, something to hunt. So you can see, there she is, Odie. See that white tip on the tail that I was talking about? She curls it up like that. She even lifts it every now and then. If she had to see birds on the ground like francolins or spurfowl, she'd lift it up. You can see what she did there was heron sprayed, so marking her territory. The tail all the way up, so there might be ground birds there. For now, we're going to try to stick with her, but send you over to Steve. I think he's got a large breeding herd of buffalo.
Thanks, Rowan. Yes, we do. Good luck keeping up with your leopard there. It'll be great to get some nice shots of that individual. We've just moved around to catch up with our breeding herd of buffalo, and this young lady is giving us the evil eye. Trying to smell us. Look how wet that nose is. So wet, isn't it? Now, in ruminants, they also require so much water because of the amount of through the rumination, when they chew and they break up or macerate the vegetation, they surround the vegetation with saliva. Saliva is loaded with the bacteria and microorganisms which help in the breakdown. Excuse me, and they need lots of water to replenish that as well. Microorganisms which are protein based go into the stomach and are reabsorbed as protein, so they don't actually lose them. Obviously there's a small loss, but most of it gets reabsorbed back into the system and they're able to recreate them. So very sustainable sort of process, although as we've seen with buffalo dung, there's a lot of wasted water. It makes them very water dependent. But the oxpeckers are having a field day today. You see the difference between the boy and that girl. Not just in the size, very easy to see the size, but you can see the boss in the horns as they join in the front, the massive big rough area. Well, we're going to see if we can move up slightly here. Excuse me, I've got something in my throat. Move up here and get you another view of this herd. We've been trying not to disturb them. Get a nice view of them, but Trish has got close-up visuals of the Djuma clan. Let's go say hello to the littlest ones.
Yes, we do. And now they're busy trying to suckle. Look at all the debris, all those dried up leaves and grass that are sticking to their fur. So sweet. Stop it, Mom. Forced cuddles. And a little roll around. Now these little ones will continue to suckle from Mum until they're about 15, 16 months. Hi Pranav, you'd like to know when will the cubs get spots all over their bodies? Well, when they're born, they're fully black, not one spot on them. And you can see now that their necks and their legs are starting to get spotty. Now that generally happens between 2 to 3 months old. And by the time they're 4 or 5 months, you'll see that they're spotty all over and they start to get quite furry. It is a very, very cute. Everyone's a little bit quieter now since the milk truck has opened. Look at them using their little teeth. Hyena cubs are born with their canines, which are the pointy teeth, which you have also, and their incisors, which are the front teeth. They're born with those fully erupted. So that must be quite painful for a ribbon when they suckle. But it also means that they can go around chewing bits of grass and really get that jaw to be exercised, because hyenas have really, really strong jaws and skulls. But those take a long time to develop. And they need all the practice they can get with moving the jaw and pulling at things to build up that strength. Oh, Pranav, there you can see on the neck the little mane running down the back. You can see it's starting to come up just slightly. It sort of looks a little like a mohawk. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but there's a hyena whooping in the background, quite far away. That's probably what's gotten their attention. Okay. It was quite far away anyway. But you can see that even if we couldn't hear it from there very clearly, or at least you guys couldn't hear it very clearly, and even for me it was very faint, even still it got Ribbon to pick her head up and these two cubs. It's a lovely, peaceful morning, and I think the cubs are really taking advantage of this. Last night, near camp, the hyenas were very, very, very noisy. In fact, I found it difficult to fall asleep. And they sounded like they were having a huge conversation. Very, very cool. Well, of course, I'm not going to go anywhere because I love to sit here with the little ones. Take as much time as we need to spend with them. But there's a new guide for you to meet, and his name is Djuma. So let's go over and say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is Djuma from andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We just located the male line. If you look right in front of us, which is very good start for the morning drive. So he's trying to find the rest of the pride. So which is very interesting at the moment. He just come across on ahead of Impala. As you can see right in front of there, the Impala are busy lambing, which is a warning signal for everyone around. So looks like the rest of the pride is very close to the area as well. So let's see and see. We'll wait for a little bit more and see what's going to happen. Okay, guys, enjoy. Wow, look at the Impala. Just look at him, and he's just like pretending he's not around at the moment. And because also what I think he's thinking by now, because he knows the pride of here somewhere, there's a good chance they must be stalking this impala so he can steal the food. But I don't know how he's going to eat it because his belly is heavily full stomach. Sam, we don't really give them a name. So because he's coming from he's one of the dominant male in the area. We named them up because of the area. We call him a Bayala male. That's what we call him. He has there are actually two brothers hanging around this area, but at the moment they're separate with his brother. So between the two of them, we call him Bayala males. You got it, Sam? Look at this man. He's quite very dark at the back. And if you come around here, you'll never notice it's a lion. It looks just like one of these logs around here. Very good camouflage. And the color of his body look more like the grass. It just look more like just one of these dead log. Interesting to see. No wind, everything very quiet, except this impala's busy lamb calling. Now he's getting up, start walking. It'll be interesting if he starts rolling, because he should, because he's looking for the rest of the pride. Okay. Look at that. He's a big boy. We'll follow him a little bit. We'll stay with him. Hello. Yeah. Because that male lion, what he does, because he has a brother, every time him and his brother, they were trying to separate because they have a huge territory. Then they need to make sure they checking every single pride, because they have like 3 different prides in this area. So every now and again he will meet up with his brother, and sometime he will meet with the pride. Like as he's moving along like that, he's trying to find the rest of the pride, because we did find the tracks of the pride. The area heading to, he might be finding a pride. Generally they do move along, vocalizing, advertising themselves with the area, trying to mark the territory in the area. That's why he's alone at the moment. So, look, his belly, it looks like he's hanging. I think he must be overfed. And that's why he's ignoring the impala now. He doesn't worry about the hunting. He just wanted to find the pride. Because what happened, it might be happened overnight. There must be the pride caught something smaller. He came, took it, everything, the pride continue hunting. So it might be one of the reasons why he's trying to find them again, because he knows he's going to find easy food. I don't know if I should go a bit further, because I think we might lose the signal down there. We can go this way. Okay. Karen, to be honest, my favorite animal is it's a male lion. I don't know why. I read because I just come across on my favorite animal. It's alright. Okay, more see what he does.
How exciting! Already a leopard this morning, a lion this morning, hyena this morning, and some buffalo, and hopefully Steve will be able to catch up with those wild dogs. I just did chat to him. He said he can't get anything just yet, but we're all hopeful that we'll be able to see quite an array of carnivores this morning. Well, these two have now settled down properly for their feed, and like all little ones, after they drink, maybe just a few minutes of play, and then they suddenly get very sleepy. And then it's back into the den for them. They can be quite noisy when they're playing around and they're rustling all through, especially now that the bush is a little bit dry. In fact, quite a bit drier than it was when I left. And the sound of the leaves and the rustling is actually quite intense compared to when the bush is actually green. And the sound of them fooling around and squealing at each other, shouting at each other, they can be quite loud. And as soon as they settle in to drink, it's just peace and quiet. It's so lovely and fresh and crisp. I always miss it when I spend time in the city. I mean, the city has its place too, but I definitely miss how good it smells, how good it sounds, and all the animals out here. And the sound of the Cape turtle dove. Sometimes I dream of the sound of a Cape turtle dove. Just plays in the background, as usually it does in the bush. Can you hear it in the background? Oh, it's just gotten fainter. It shouts, work harder, work harder. In fact, I don't know if a safari in South Africa is complete without hearing that bird. Now, interestingly, it's very nice and peaceful here at the den, and it's just Ribbon with her two little ones. But I have noticed, at least last time that I was here, that quite a few of the cubs from June's litter and Pretty's would actually visit quite a bit, as well as Ribbon's past litter, or at least the one that's surviving in Tima, which is from her first litter. She comes around quite a bit, and I've even seen Comet, Tsaka, these are some of the males in the clan. They come around quite a lot. And Heart has been around too. She's a clan. So occasionally you get to see quite a few of them. The last time, I think maybe a week before I left, probably like 4 weeks ago, I had a lot of them. I think it was in Tima Fika. Taka, I'm not sure if Comet was there. June, Soto, Swazi, and I'm missing a few others. We're all trying to, shall we say this politely, share a carcass near quarantine. All right, I think we're having a little bit of breakup, but that's okay. I'm going to send you over to Road at andBeyond's in Ngala, give you a bit of an update on his leopard while we sort this out.
So sadly, we've had to leave the leopard. We just couldn't keep up. She walked into an area here where it's just tamboti thicket. So tamboti, a very slow-growing tree, and we can't really drive over it. Not like some of these quarries. Anyway, we tried to loop around, so we're just quickly checking this road, seeing if the Ngala female came out. But, oh, stunning. I mean, she was just scent marking everywhere. Her tail was high up. She was going past Franklin, said they wouldn't alarm call. There's Hyena. It's giving us a cheeky look. I think he might be the one that's following the leopard. But no, we lost her for now. We were hoping that we could follow her and she would actually lead us back to her cub, to a youngster that she saw the other day with Sean. But no such luck. But you never know, you know, she might just pop out in front of us on the road. For now, this Hyena seems to just be more interested in what we are doing and keeps checking us out. Although I'm pretty sure his ears are up, so if he hears any alarm calling, any impala or anything alarm calling, he would know the leopard is there, and he'll probably, or she, will probably run there. So he's also trying to sniff the air. Looks a bit tired, the mouth hanging open. Quite tattered ears, bitten. No. Big yawn. Look at all the... No. I wanted you to see all the teeth there. See how they can even blend in quite well. Just lie down and we completely lose them. Okay, so it doesn't seem like this Hyena knows where the leopard is. We're in the same boat, buddy. We're going to keep driving on this road, keep going on east. So she was walking more north. Well, when we found her, she was coming west. That's when she crossed over the road. Then she started going north and then back east and then a little bit south. So it's terribly hard to judge where she's going to come out. I mean, I have a bit of confidence, but not really too much, that we are going to find her again. The Ngala female, it's funny, we were talking about it when she's with her youngster. She seems to be a bit more relaxed. When she's with a carcass, she'll snarl at us for quite some time, bare her teeth. But then she relaxes, like the other day when she was on that beautiful branch, just draped over it. But now when she's marking her territory, she just tried to slink away from us so many times. And now she won. Addison, who's 7 years old, wants to know, how do we tell the leopards apart? So Addison, she's very small. Let me start with the Ngala female. She's really tiny as female leopards go. So we saw a leopard cross the road. Then we started trying to follow. Then we saw the tip of the tail and she was marking territory, which tells us, okay, territorial female in this area. We only know of the Ngala female. Size-wise, she's also very small. And then when we actually managed to get a glimpse of her, she was snarling at us, which is another trait of hers. But then she has a very definite spot pattern above her eye, and then on the side of the mouth, also a definite spot pattern that we can tell by. But yeah, it's almost come to that stage where you recognize the leopard like you would recognize your own cat in and amidst all the neighborhood's cats. So it's basically the same thing. You get to know them. I was so hoping that she would come onto this road and just start marking territory on this road. I don't think she's been past here. Got some relaxed impalas. And so if the leopard had to come past here, all of them would be going psh, 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 just alarm calling. Tess, who's 4 years old, wants to know, why do leopards hide all the time? Tess, they're very secretive, very elusive animals, and because they ambush predators, means they don't want to be seen. They don't want things like impalas to know they are in the area, because it helps them hunting. Tess, it would definitely make my life a lot easier if they didn't hide all the time. You can see these impalas even looking a little bit skittish, especially that one female in front. There she goes. But none of them alarm calling, so they wouldn't have smelt or seen the Ngala female in this area yet. Otherwise, even if they do smell her, but they can't see her, they would alarm call, just because they know the presence of a leopard in here, which is the last thing that leopard would want, because then she'll need to leave the area and she can't hunt here. Also with impalas alarm calling, giving away her presence, it would attract things like hyenas. And then hyenas start stalking her, and she can't make a kill, because otherwise she's going to lose her kill to the hyenas. So yeah, it's, that's why they try to remain hidden. A great game of hide and seek, Tess. Odie's commenting that the impalas are very nervous. In all honesty, I think if I was an impala in the bush, I would be super nervous as well. You can see how they're looking one way, but the ears are facing back towards us. So just trying to pick up any sound, any, cause for alarm. Oh, there they go. Also disappearing slowly behind the bush. Actually, it's turning out to be a beautiful morning. It was very cloudy earlier. Okay, so we are going to keep checking a little bit east. We might drop into the Timbavati River, which is right next to us, and see if we can find any tracks of her. But for now, I'm going to send you back to Djuma with a grouse.
Let's get these. Welcome back, everyone. We had a wonderful little sighting of a Swanson spurfowl a second ago, and obviously he got shy, very camera shy, but now we've got two Burchell's starlings walking around. There's been some elephant activity on the ground here, and some buffalo grazing, so there's multiple numbers of little insects that these starlings are walking around, energy efficient walking, just plucking off insects that are moving on the ground, ants, termites, any bugs there might be. And off he goes. Well, it's a wonderful area. We've heard reports of wild dogs from the dam cam. Someone heard them calling, but we were near the dam cam and we didn't hear anything. So we're just trying to do a bit of a loop around, see if we can hear anything or see anything. But we haven't heard. They make a very loud whooping sound. It's a very characteristic sound, wild dogs. Don't expect me to mimic it now, because I've still got a frog in my throat. I'd like to see some wild dogs. It's been a while. A buffalo came through here last night, through towards the dam. So also looking for any lion tracks that might be following them. That should be nice today. Wild dogs or lions or Thandi and her cub. We're in that area now where Tristan had last tracks. Let's see if maybe we can figure out where she's gotten to. Okay, well, it's a very good morning from Djuma, and sending you to a very good morning all the way over to the west in the Kalahari, Tswalu Kalahari, with Philip and Jandre.
Good morning again from Tswalu Kalahari. My name's Dylan, for those of you who have been following us, and Jandre, my master cameraman, doing our footage some good justice there. It's a glorious morning, got a stunning moon set over here. The moonrise last night was just unbelievable, and I really wish you could have seen it from Tswalu's perspective. So Jandre and I, we really knuckled down yesterday, and we spent 3 hours doing a stakeout at a burrow system. There was a honey badger there. He really played havoc with the meerkats. The group seems to have split up. We don't know where half of the group is. Rebecca, our meerkat habituator, has done a huge amount of work and actually located another burrow system that it seems that some of the group are down. We don't know which ones yet, but we're going to just sit here and see if we can actually figure out what's going on here. No sign of the honey badger, but at least we put in the effort there. So we're going to, if you look behind us over here, this large burrow system over here, and there's multiple entrances in that. There are some squirrels living here apparently, and a number of the meerkats went down here, but not the whole group. So we don't know who they are. We don't know what's going on here yet. But one thing we do know is that there was a huge disruption yesterday based on the activity of that honey badger. We actually went and scanned at the burrow system that he had got into, where the little squirrels were evicted from, and he had actually shredded that place. I mean, like those burrow entrances that are normally kind of like this size were this size, and just like piles of sand everywhere. So he had really worked his honey badger magic over there. So what we're going to do, we're going to sit down here, and then if we don't get any joy down here with meerkats, then we're going to maybe head back to that. But we're not going to hold out a lot of, I don't have a huge amount of, let's say, hope here today in terms of getting this, like on first morning. But over the next couple of days, we'll build up and see what's happening. So we must just be patient, and but it's just really good having you all with us again. And it's, please enjoy it and just feel free to chat and ask questions. But I think in the moment, for now, just head down to, I think Trish has got some really cool Hyena pups apparently.
Yay! I've been waiting to get a link from Dylan, and I've been waiting to link to Dylan. I spent some time with him at Tswalu, and we had a really, really wonderful time. He's a pretty awesome guy, I must say. Very interesting. Definitely can pick his brain. Oh, seems like we have fallen over. These guys are just entertainment value. They really are. Now, what's very interesting, apart from that we have an upside-down hyena cub there. Oh, I was hoping they'd do it again so I could show you. But when they're feeding, like I explained before, the cubs had already asserted who's dominant and who's submissive. But the way that they're feeding is very interesting. So usually, the dominant cub would feed belly to belly with mum, with its butt facing mum's face, if that makes sense, belly to belly. And then the submissive cub would go between mum's legs, back legs. I'm hearing alarm calls right here by Treehouse Dam. We're just going to wait for a little bit. I am just listening. I'll explain to you what I was talking about with the suckling again in a moment. It's just that I've heard alarm calls just south of here. So I'm going to watch for a moment and see if it's another hyena, and she's going to react. I'm just going to be here for a little while. Well, kiddies, this does draw the end of our drive dedicated to all of you especially. So we're going to invite everyone else on board, all our other lovely viewers, to come through, send us your questions using the hashtag WildEarth or the YouTube chat stream. And of course, our kids can stay on board too. Just everyone else will be able to ask questions. And I hope that you do, because there's some interesting things happening. I think I'm going to leave and dart down to Treehouse Dam and just check it out, just in case. Of course, as soon as I want to do that, somebody's looking extra cute and a little bit dangerous. There we go. That makes us all feel a little bit more comfortable. So much excitement. So much is happening this morning. I'm pretty happy to be out, and I hope that if you guys have enjoyed our safaris so far, not just today, but all the ones you've watched in the past, and hopefully those that we can have in the future. Please consider supporting us. There should be some details coming up on your screen so that we can continue to do what we do. Okay, no, there's proper alarm calls now. But Ribbon is not reacting. Thank you, cubbies. I always dislike doing this. Oh, they're very good. So what usually happens, because they're little and they're actually not used to the sound of the vehicle starting up, because what we do is we usually kind of park here and then they emerge, so they're not actually used to the car starting. And I thought that they would get a little bit scared. That's why I said I don't like doing this. But just like the hyena cubs before them, I said, car? What car? These guys are. I think I see what it was. There's a hyena down there. Which is the direction from which the alarms were coming from. Wonderful. All right, I'm going to approach this hyena and I'm going to send you back over to Dylan at Tswalu. Please tell him I say hi while he tells you about the honey badgers.
Yeah, so we're just busy setting up at this burrow system. But I believe there's some interesting questions about honey badgers, some interesting honey badgers. And they are incredible creatures, remarkable animals, and I think very misunderstood. There's this perception that they're completely fearless, they'll just attack anything that's moving. It's 100% untrue. They are fearless animals if they get attacked, but most things are. So Lisa, that's a good point. Lisa's asked, are honey badgers here because they prey on meerkats? And the answer in a nutshell is yes and no. Honey badgers can eat pretty much anything they can get hold of. They'll eat scorpions, they'll eat grubs, they'll eat birds' eggs, they'll climb up nests to raid, climb up trees to raid bird nests and get eggs and chicks. They'll attack snakes, they'll dig out lizards, they catch monitor lizards, and sometimes these ones get like a meter in length. They will go for meerkat pups. They've actually been seen catching baby warthogs. They'll go down a burrow and actually take baby warthogs out of a burrow as well. So they're really capable of pretty much taking any prey item. What we've seen here, and it was just huge amounts of luck, is when we were following that one little group of meerkats yesterday, this honey badger just popped out of a burrow and then went straight back in. And on closer inspection, it turns out that he's actually completely destroyed that one burrow system. It is not the burrow system where Masadi was with her group and where her pups was in that. This is now further south, but it was within 100 yards of their burrow system. And I think this is exactly what's created this uproar now. Like, okay, geez, what's going on here? Because if he gets in there, there's very, very, very little that a group of meerkats can do against the determined honey badger. That is just the way nature works. So we're now trying to figure out what's going on here in terms of these groups. There's definitely a split that's happened here. We don't know if the pups are still alive. They may be. We're hoping they are, but we can't be sure of that. So this is just going to be a little bit of time over the next couple of days. We're not going to get a quick answer and say, okay, there's Sadi in a group and everyone lives happily ever after. We need to really try to tease this out, figure out what's going on. But yeah, coming back to the honey badger aspects of it in terms of feeding, they are omnivores. They will prey on and feed on a wide range of prey items. I've seen them going for plant material, so that's why I say omnivores, but it's probably more incidental. But so actually, it would be more correct to say they are carnivores. Honey badgers are carnivores. they'll also go for carcasses. So they don't just feed on live prey, things that they're catching themselves. They will go to a carcass and they'll actually scavenge in a carcass. And and dung beetle larvae, and they've got this phenomenal ability to dig. We've seen them chasing aardvark down burrows. We don't know what the outcome's been, so we've never actually, no one's actually seen a physical case where honey badgers been witnessed killing an aardvark, but there's strong anecdotal evidence for that. Like I say, our staff on the ground have actually seen honey badgers go down burrows and come out carrying a baby warthog. And the mother warthog actually chased the honey badger and it dropped it, so that the piglet got away. But the honey badgers will pretty much try anything they can if they get half a chance, and they figure it out. They're very persistent, so they'll learn. If they go down a burrow system and they get success doing, hunting in a particular technique, they'll start replicating it, and they'll learn. That behavior is very, very much a learned thing. So yeah, super wily little things. But we're going to kind of just settle in here, get set up, and hopefully we're going to get some interesting activity up. But I think in the meantime, head back to Taylor, our colleague in the Lowveld, and see what she's got for you.
Good morning and welcome to us finally here at Prrivate, where the sun has risen and the buffalo have awoken. Well, maybe not. There's a couple of them that look a little bit on the sleepy side. As I pull my mic, my cables and things like that. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we are on Prrivate, like I said. So sorry for me sitting so awkwardly. If I sit up a little bit higher, these buffalo are actually slightly nervous, and I don't want them to run away, as all our animals have done that this morning. But we're sitting with 4 dugger boys. Now, the bull on the left is enormous. He looks like he has consumed all the grass in the Greater Kruger National Park. There's a tongue twister for you today. He is basically as wide as he is long. Look at all those muscles. And then, of course, that really round belly. But he is in the... I think he might just be past his prime of his life. Look how smooth those horns are. Now, Tess, buffalo have got these horns because they're very important for protection for these animals. So we actually call that thing on top of on the buffalo's head there a boss. So that thing in the middle, that's called a boss, and then the horns curve around. And we also talk about the tips of the horns. But you can see with this buffalo, they're not very sharp. So what he would have used them for, when they were nice and sharp, is to fight other buffaloes when he's in the herds and wanting to mate with the females. But otherwise, if something like a lion, which likes to eat buffalo, were to come on through, he would also use those to defend himself. And lions kill lots of buffalo every single year, but buffalo also kill lots of lions. So maybe we can find the buffalo just behind him to the right. Now, Tess, I know you're only 4 years old, so look at that difference there. Look how sharp his horns are. You see? So that's also a way that we can tell a buffalo's age, is because the sharper the tip of the horn, the younger they are. And you can also see that his boss, that part in the middle, isn't as well developed. And he hasn't got as many muscles on his body just yet. But these boys decide that they don't like the girls anymore. They're quite happy to just stay by themselves. But it's such a lovely sighting here in the golden grass. Now, Nick, all animals have got, not all animals, but animals that do have horns, obviously use their horns for different things. So, Nicholas, buffalo's horns are shaped differently. That's just because of their genetics. This is how buffalo horns typically grow. And you get buffalo species or bison, all over the world, and they're fairly similar shape like this. But it wouldn't make sense for something like an impala. I don't know if you've seen an impala this morning, to have big horns that droop down the sides of their heads. That wouldn't make much sense at all. So their horns sort of curve backwards and up. So it could be depending on how they fight. Maybe they fight differently. Also, an impala's build, so it's just its body shape in general is much more slender, a lot more athletic, whereas the buffalo, you can see they're heavy, big, strong animals. If an impala had droopy horns like this and they were as heavy as that, they'd be walking with their head dragging on the floor. But I'm happy to see that the buffalo are relaxing, because there is one in here, the one that keeps staring at us on the right-hand side, that's very, very nervous. And I've actually tried to show you all this little group of buffalo before, but they keep running away. Everyone else is relaxed except that one, and he's quite young. But he's got an exceptional set of horns on him, don't you think? Look how low they curve down and then go back around. So one day when his boss develops nicely, you know, he's probably going to be a favorite of the females. I think they'll like him very much. He's a good-looking chap. He's just starting to fill out. See, they've turned now. There's another vehicle coming this side. Kaki, now you've mentioned something about the spots on the buffalo's face. So typically what buffalo like to do is roll around in mud during the heat of the day. So it could just be mud that is sort of dried and caked there. But also, as buffalo start to get older, as in humans, their hair starts to recede as well, so they start to lose it, so they end up getting these patches on their faces. But if you rubbed your face up on a branch all the time in the same spot, maybe you were itchy because there were some parasites or something like that there, that could also cause hair loss. So I think it's a number of different things. It's not that they necessarily, I think, always have those spots. I think it just depends on buffalo. But the one that we're looking at now, he's a real old boy. So if he was in a herd with females, he'd be walking right at the back of the herd. He's not fit enough now to keep up with the young fellas that might be up in front with the rest of the females that are called the pathfinders, that kind of decide where they go. So he'd just be lagging behind, and he'd be the one that the lions would want to go after too. But there's an oxpecker, which is quite a typical sight to see on buffalo. A bird dangling around. Oh, you're going to go inside the ear. I'm sure that must be nice and warm for the oxpecker too, but it's not going in there to keep nice and warm. It is actually looking for things to feed on. So it's just wiping its bill. Maybe when it ate a tick, a little bit of blood smeared on the side, because that's what they're after. They love to eat blood. See, and that's all the ticks are going to be gathering inside that buffalo's ear. Look at that. That's so cool to see. Holding on with its feet. I can't imagine how ticklish that must be. Frankie, in areas where there are lots of lions, I don't think buffalo get to live for as long as they should. But maybe up to 20 years or so would be a good age for a buffalo bull. But like I said, so they live in a family herd for pretty much their whole life, and then as they start to get older, they start to slow down, and then they can't keep up. And like I said earlier, then they're easy pickings for the lions. So that's going to bring your lifespan down fairly quickly. And when those horns are completely blunt, then he hasn't got any protection. And he might even end up being on his own and not even have his friends around him to help watch his back. But the other morning when we had some lions, it was a really beautiful sight. I think because we had the lioness tracks on top of the buffalo tracks, and when we found them, they were only 50 meters from one another. There you go. You can see it's trying to clean its beak now. Just like you would pick up a serviette or a napkin and wipe your mouth after you eat, birds will do the same thing after they've eaten something. But you can see this buffalo is in fairly good condition. Got a nice moist nose. Not thin, of course. That's always an indication. Any thin animal out here, unless it's maybe a predator, because their body size changes dramatically depending on when they eat or not. But a herbivore, an animal that eats just vegetation, if it is thin, it is probably sick. I like the way that they've all huddled up like that with one another. One watching towards the south, the others keeping a close eye on us. Almost death staring us. Just settle down. That's a very big buffalo in the middle. Now, Lisa, what you can see right now is there's a buffalo that is sitting down in the grass. Well, there's two of them. This is typically how buffalo sleep. So if you did join us for the sunset safari yesterday, you would have seen we had an elephant having a siesta, and he sort of closed his eyes and rested his back foot and just stood still momentarily. Buffalo will lay down very much like cows. If they're in a group, they'll lay down together and they'll sleep for a few hours in the evening, and then just as the sun starts to rise, they'll normally wake up, go about their day, maybe go for a drink of water, do some feeding, and then during the heat of the day too, it's not very pleasant. So especially in the summer months, they'll find some nice shady spots and sleep under trees, or they'll just go and sleep in sort of mud wallows and things like that. But they do spend a lot of time resting, not necessarily because they're tired, but they need to do a lot of ruminating. So what that buffalo is doing closest to us, you can see how he's chewing. So he's basically doing the second digestive process. So, you know, the cows have a 4-chambered stomach, and they are ruminants, so they will chew their food and swallow it, and then at a later stage they regurgitate a bolus and they chew it for a second time. And this is probably one of the most effective digestive systems. So they'll sit down and rest and then do this task. They can also do it standing up, but why not just rest those legs? Can you imagine how heavy those horns must be? And look at the muscles on their bodies.
So the sun has just risen here about 5 minutes ago. Brief glimpse of 2 sub-adults, so 2 youngsters basically, and 1 adult. But super brief glimpse, then they went down again. It's still quite cool, bit of a breeze. So we're just going to wait it out here and just see if we can try understand what's happening here, if the alpha female Musadi is in fact with this group or not. Yeah, so this is just like really going into the unknown here. And it also just shows in these tight-knit family groups what the presence of something like a honey badger can actually do. That being said, Shay, maybe we're painting the honey badger with the wrong brush and he's actually had nothing to do with it. It could have been that there was an unknown male that popped into the group when we weren't around, because that could also cause a bit of mayhem there. There could have been a snake incident that we weren't aware of, a Cape Cobra, which will eat meerkat pups. So there's a lot of things that could have happened, and so we're kind of painting the honey badger as the bad guy here, but we've actually got no evidence for that apart from him just being a honey. But these meerkats are out now. That big one almost looks like Musadi. That almost looks like the alpha female. I'll need it to turn around if I can see a little bit better. I'm just going to try to get a better view here with the binoculars. That's her. Okay, that's Musadi. So that's the alpha female. So this is where it becomes super interesting now. Because if she's down here, what's going on with the pups? Where are the pups? Has she moved the pups down here during the course of the day when we weren't there? Or has something actually happened to the pups? Nancy, they do move their youngsters often. It's normally after about 3 weeks of age. Prior to that, they'd really only move them if there was an urgent reason for doing so. A honey badger is exactly the kind of reason that would justify that kind of behavior. And the presence of that honey badger so close by to the burrow system and active digging at another burrow system by the badger would very, very much have warranted a move of the pups and that. What's baffling us here is that there only seems to be, say, half of the group here. We don't know where the others are. It may be, and chatting to Rebecca, our meerkat habituator, I mean, she's spent so much time with him and she's so good with him, saying that it could be that she actually left the pups at that other burrow system in order to save the rest of the group. In other words, saying, well, in the presence of a honey badger, there's not much that meerkats are going to be able to do anyway. So let's abandon that burrow and move and save the whole group. But yeah, we don't know this for sure. You know, we're just going to have to spend some time and try to figure out what's going on here. And that's not going to be today. I mean, that's going to be over the following couple of days. This is going to develop. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how it plays out. Wait, a little shrike buzzed him. Oh, this backlight on those meerkats is lovely in terms of videography and photography. Wow. And that's the exciting thing about nature. That's why I love it. You know, you go out, every single day is different. It's not, you can't go out and say, predict what's going to happen. I mean, you can try and you can say, well, I think that leopard's going to walk around the left-hand side of the tree, or it might hunt or whatever. But the details of its daily lives, I mean, every single day is a new thing for us and for them. And some days it plays in favor of the meerkats, and other days it doesn't. Corin, no, we don't. We don't stay out here all night. Typically, these meerkats will go and sleep around about just before sunset. Sometimes just after sunset, depending on temperatures and that. And then there's pretty much no point. And also in terms of like things like honey badgers, we really, you know, you want to observe these animals and then move away, as opposed to becoming just another one of the meerkats. The danger there in these environments, we've got a lot of animals that are very relaxed around people and vehicles that don't mind it. But then other ones that occur at very low densities, like honey badgers, are still very, very shy of people. So, you know, so we don't want to go and impact on the behavior of those animals. As you know, as long as we're sitting, you know, if we were staying constantly with the meerkats, there's probably a strong likelihood that we're going to be preventing raptors, you know, birds of prey or other predators from engaging with them. And I know that sounds quite harsh, but that's really what needs to happen. You know, these meerkats, they've evolved over millions and millions of years in Africa alongside predators. Those predators have evolved alongside meerkats. You know, this is all part of what meerkats are. They raise pups, they lose pups, they defend themselves successfully against predators. Sometimes they don't do so successfully. And we just need to be impartial observers of nature at its best. And on that thought, I think head over to Trish and some hyenas.
Nice, Wolf.
Crash cutting. Hi, welcome back everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're back with you now. We haven't moved from the buffalo just yet. We're starting with that same bachelor group of boys, and they're still a little bit uneasy. Sometimes they stand up and sit down, and then it's typically the two older boys that are quite comfortable with us, and the two youngsters are not so chuffed at all. The oxpeckers don't seem to mind. Just listening to some birds that are starting to wake up too. We might even get a bird party moving through here, which could be quite exciting. I mean, buffalo are very nervous, natured animals, except when they're living in large breeding herds. You can imagine when you're 50 to a couple of hundred heads strong, oh, there must be very few things that can intimidate you, especially because they're quite social with one another and will protect. And these dogger boys will do the same thing. Very, very nervous. I'm sure you can hear all the birds in the background. It's quite peaceful. I've been listening out for leopards and lions pretty much the entire evening, but no joy. And while we came into this area, as we were following up on vervet monkeys alarming, and we were hoping that there was going to be a leopard nearby, but there wasn't. We couldn't see anything, so we think maybe it was just a raptor. But instead we found these buffalo, it's nice to know where they are, because if the lions do come onto the property, we could find them. There's the oxpecker again. Now, if we do get big herds of buffalo coming through, something that we should look out for is the yellow-billed buffalo. Not buffalo, yellow-billed oxpecker. Can you imagine a yellow-billed buffalo? It'd be quite funny. I haven't seen a yellow-billed oxpecker for ages. They're also quite nice to see, and will interact with the red-billed oxpeckers too. Now, getting in just in the linings of the lips, where I'm sure there's a couple more parasites. This is such a lovely relationship. Oh, looks like it's trying to force quite a big ticker out. That buffalo is particularly tolerant. And if they do have any wounds, these birds can be such a pest. They'll just keep opening it to feed on all the blood, and you'll see that wound will just ooze and ooze. I wonder if that's what it's doing there, if it's like an old scab, or if it is just trying to grab hold of a tick. The tick's mouth parts, they can latch onto buffalo. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to pull a tick off. Wait, right, I'm done now. A tick off your dog, or I don't know, maybe you live on a farm and you've got domestic animals. They're not very easy. You've got to be careful that you don't leave the head. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to move on and maybe try into some elephants and see if they go down swimming in the dam. But off you go back to Djuma with Steve, who's got some very playful lion cubs.
Yes, well, everybody, look what we found. We found some very fresh tracks, and we've managed to find the Umkuhuma cubs. Now, the whole pride came in here. The whole pride is on Djuma now, but we've just tracked the pride to where we found the cubs, and we're just going to say hello to these little cubs now and move out. Find the adults, which were with them, but have obviously left them behind to go hunting or to do something. We're not too sure, but we said we wanted to find lions this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The smallest cub is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can only count 7 currently, but there should be 9, including the smallest. Am I right, Darby? We haven't seen the Umkuhuma pride I haven't seen them in ages. And these little cubs, last time I saw them, were just little balls of fluff. So they came in on Gowrie Main, behind the smells of buffalo. And it's possible that's where the adults are gone. The adults would not take the cubs into a buffalo sighting. It's way too dangerous. But if they do catch a buffalo, they will be sure to come back and fetch these little things. They've just been deposited here next to the road. How exciting. Okay, so we're not staying, everybody, due to the fact that it's only cubs, which makes it slightly sensitive. So we move out. The tracks were in the road, you're heading north, so we're going to keep following the adults. And if we find the adults, obviously things will change with regards to this sighting. It's important to be sensitive. Okay, the whole pride was here. Adults heading that way. So it's not over yet. Just want to show you on the road what it looks like to see a pride of lions. Look over my right shoulder there. Look over my shoulder. Look at all of those tracks. Now, you should not miss this. If you see that, there's cubs, there's adults. If there's a leopard in there, you'd have a very hard time trying to find the leopard. But it's that difficult to follow lions when they're moving in a pride like this. When they're hunting, it's a different story. So moving on to these adults is going to be fun. But that's what we do. That's what we love doing. The adults would have walked here and looked at the cubs, just went, and the cubs would have laid down, adults would have moved on. They can cover quite a large distance. Now, the pride was apparently seen on Gowrie Main about an hour and a half ago, which means that they haven't been left that long ago. We're not that far from where here we go. Adults are right here. Okay, that was easy. Okay. The stations have... Oh, that's Purple Eye. Oh, Purple Eye's got an injured leg. Tell me when you're happy, Davy. Yep. Stations I've located the rest of the prides off Leopard, not far from the cubs, so it will be a 3-vehicle sighting.
On Leopard, Gowrie Main now, well done.
Copy, Joe. Keep coming. Yeah, just keep coming to that one termite mound on the left. The whole pride is on top.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, so now I counted 7 cubs there. 8, 9. They're all here. These are the 2 boys. Sorry, everybody. You're welcome, Alan. I'd come on Leopard. Just come straight in along Leopard. You won't miss us, yeah.
Copy, thank you, Steve.
Okay, there is the Djuma Pride, everybody. They left the cubs just a little bit further back. They're scouting. Yeah. Yeah. So, I do a lot of talking, and Dave tells me where to position sometimes. So, you might see us moving every now and again. It's okay. I've had them on this exact termite mound before. This is the termite mound Tristan had them killing a warthog last week, or the week before, if you recall that. This exact termite mound. So, they might have come back in anticipation. Hello, Amber Eyes. Aren't you looking beautiful? Now, those are Origino's one boy, and there's another boy there as well. So happy to see them. Carolyn, the 2 boys that you can see, that boy in picture on left, he will follow. He won't get involved. He will do eating, though, and a lot of slapping and snarling, but they won't actively be hunting. The adults will leave the cubs slightly behind, but because, I mean, since Chella, who's the younger female who had those cubs, the most recent cubs, and all three out of the 4 died, it seems since then... See, those 2 boys there will be much more involved. It seems since then that the pride does not leave anybody behind. That's why when I saw those cubs a little bit further back there, I thought the pride had possibly left them, but I was wrong. Not far at all. The cubs slowly follow now, and when the pride makes a kill, they come running in. On Christmas Eve, we came across the pride on a little staff get out. And we found the pride in the middle of quarantine. They killed an impala, and the cubs, as small as they were, came in so quickly. They were very close behind. So it's at that stage where the cubs are able to move, and lions are relentless when it comes to moving, because when they're hungry, they go. And if the cubs can't keep up, well, they get left behind. It's just the way it is. Nigel, we're just here. I'm sure you can see us.
I got you, thanks for that. I'm just coming in on your 2 track.
Copy, Joe. Maybe if you go up past the mount, come around on that side, you'll have better light. Behind me is going to be quite bad light.
quickly have a check, but I'm not doing a shot here.
Okay, so the Unkahumas, everybody, I'm so happy to have them back. I love this pride. I love this pride. And this big witch female, let's see if we can identify them. It's been so long. They are looking in great condition. Poor purple eye. There's a very bad injured back leg. I don't know what happened. Do you know what happened, Oyi? Lions get injured, everybody. They take an absolute beating when you are an animal that's getting killed or eaten. You lash out, you kick, you bite, you stab, you do whatever you can to survive. And lions take the full brunt of the animals that they take down. They take on buffalo, giraffe. Even kudu can inflict some injuries. So I believe some of you watched as Tristan unfolded with the Djuma Pride on this exact termite mound. So it's quite interesting how they've come back. They probably thought, oh, let's check on the Warthog Hotel, shall we? Darcy, it's the first time I'm seeing the cubs since I've been back. And since they got mange, a couple of the cubs there looked pretty bad for mange. Darby, you saw them. Did it look worse for your last time? Darcy, it's hard to say. We're going to have to maybe get a few screenshots, or in a moment we'll be able to go back to the cubs. Seeing as we are with the pride, we'll be allowed to view the cubs. They're just 30 meters or so down in the bushes there in the shade. So I noticed a couple of them, especially Chella's smallest little boy, or girl, I don't know what sex it is actually, was looking mangy. But some of you out there who have been watching the show and have taken screenshots before, I'm sure could maybe put together a little compilation of the one shot we have had of the smallest cub and show us in comparison to what maybe it looked like before. His ear looked quite mangy, but they overcome it, everybody. They do overcome it. It looks very uncomfortable and very messy for a period of time, but the adults are all looking in good condition. Okay, very good. Well, it sounds like Tswalu Kalahari has got the meerkats doing their thing, so let's quickly send you over to them.
So it's still getting more interesting here by the minute in terms of the meerkat dynamics here. So we've got these 4 individuals here. It looks like 2 adults, 2 youngsters. So it's Morsadi, which is the one on the far left digging like crazy there, the alpha. And then what happened while we're sitting here, we had a 5th meerkat that popped up, but super skittish, and not even of us. I'm talking about skittish of this group. But this little animal just started moving around just on the edge of the grass, but just inside the edge, just inside the grass, and super nervous. So we don't even know where that one comes from. And this is really interesting to sit and watch this, because now you start building up this picture, this understanding of how they're moving. And Dylan, great name. I'm just putting it out there. Yeah. So in terms of can meerkats become nomadic? So there's 2 things to answer that question there. One, you'll look at, what do we define as nomadic? If we're saying, okay, well, it's nomadic, they've got no fixed area, they'll just move around wherever there's food availability, then the answer is no. Okay. If we're saying, are they nomadic within their home range, and that home range can be, for meerkats, can be quite big. It can be 12 square kilometers, sometimes normally less depending on the quality of the habitat. So within that area, they'll move burrow system sometimes every couple of days, but not normally. They can cover a big area within that and at times there. But then there gets the interesting part. And remember I just said there was this individual that arrived here now, super shy. We don't know where he came from. We don't know what's going on there. We don't know what group he comes from. And what's interesting there is that individual could be moving from another colony somewhere, and that would be the nearest that I would say we'd get to meerkats being nomadic. In other words, that little individual could be dispersing, and in order for him to become or to survive, he actually needs to join up with other meerkats, whether it's other dispersing individuals or try actually get his way into a group of existing a colony that already exists. Either one of those, but that could take weeks sometimes for him to get that right. So during that time, he would be nomadic. But the traditionally accepted view of being a nomad and just kind of like wandering across the landscape, meerkats don't do that. So they're doing quite a bit of maintenance over here, and they're quite relaxed. Dizzy, and I hope I got the name right there. How do we identify individual meerkats? So that's a challenging thing to do. We're looking at group numbers of anything from 2 individuals, literally, up to 40, 50. It's very, very unusual to get those big groups on Tswalu. Kind of our average meerkat group size is 5, 6, 7, sometimes up to 12 individuals. That's obviously a lot easier because you'll know who the alpha female is, in this case Masadi, and that you can see if she's got youngsters, if she's lactating, that kind of thing. And then others within the group, they often have distinctive markings, like you might have a little scar or a crooked tail or a distinct marking pattern on them. Where it gets very challenging is the larger the group size gets, it becomes progressively more difficult to identify individuals. And of course, we also have the advantage of here is that we've got a wonderful team of meerkat habituators. Unfortunately, most of them have been away, obviously, during the current global situation. So we've been battling to keep tabs on these groups over the past 2 months, but normally you'd have this whole team on board, and so they'll follow these meerkats around from burrow system to burrow system. And when you start doing that, and they keep like little notebooks and that kind of thing, so then they'll start saying, you get to know the different personalities, any little quirks, traits, markings, patterns on them, and they become very, very, very good at identifying individuals. It's a lot of, but this is not even just burrow maintenance. They're actually foraging close by to this burrow. So going on the signs, the evidence that I'm seeing at this burrow system now, and bearing in mind that this is the first time that Jandre and I have actually been to this particular burrow system. And Rebecca located them here yesterday. I'm not seeing a huge amount of sign that they've been, or any meerkats have been around this area for a while. So there's probably good foraging to be had here as well. But here, our colleagues down in the Lowveld have got some lions on the move. So head down that way and see what's going on there.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Djuma Private. If you've never met them before, welcome. I was just keeping quiet there so you can hear all these little greetings. Even though Pride left the cubs not far away, it's almost like they've been separated for days. was amazed at how they all tag onto one female. Amber Eyes is getting the brunt of 6. All 9 are here, everybody. All 9 are in shot. Which is incredible to see. I can't believe how big they've gotten. They were all the size of that one on the far right last time I said, except for that one, which was very small.
You'll see where the tutor just sort of comes in on the southern side of the
Gabby, you know if there's a leader, Gabby, age 8? Well, lionesses work together, but it's normally the oldest and most experienced that sort of lead the way. This is one of the younger ones coming down, Ridge Nose, but they're the one at the back with all the cubs. That's Amber Eyes. She's definitely the biggest and one of the oldest. But then Purple Eye, the one who's got the damaged left eye, she's the oldest and seems to sort of lead the way. But whenever Purple Eye or Amber Eyes moves, the pride seems to follow. But they are sisters or daughters, all related, and very good close bonds together. And you often see them as a unit together, or they might split off for a moment or two. Always come back together with lots and lots of love and affection. Now there are 7 lioness here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the one young lioness that moved off with the Nkuhuma young male a while ago, she has been wandering around our property, we think, trying to find this pride. So it's possible she actually might be on Djuma somewhere. It's very hard to track one lion on its own. The pride is much easier. So there are only 8. There's only 7 now. And so you got a young lioness. She ran away with the young Nkuhuma male when he got chased away from the pride, and she stayed with him. And now he's been accepted into a coalition with another young male, and also been spending time with another pride who've since chased her away. So she's now looking to try to catch up with her pride members again. She was only like a late sub-adult teenager last time we saw her. It's been some time. And hopefully she materializes. There we go, everybody, a family portrait. Yes, that is the case. The lions are the only social cats. Now, you don't find any other cats in groups unless they are mother with cubs or kittens or a mating pair. Other than that, they live very solitary lives. And lions have evolved that way because it's very difficult to evolve a body. A body takes time to evolve. Size takes time to evolve. But to just accumulate or change a behavior is much quicker and easier to do than it is to change an entire body mass. And lions, leopards came from a very similar background, with the opening up of the savannas, created much larger feeding grounds for animals that became bigger, such as buffalo, giraffe. And the lion got to as big as they could, really, from an energy point of view. If they got any bigger, it would be very difficult for them to move around and to support themselves from a diet point of view. So instead of getting any bigger, they just formed prides, which became very social, and those that formed prides became much more successful than those that didn't. And also it's easier to defend an area when there's more than one. And so that social behavior of lions dominated. Bear in mind, probably somewhere along the line there was more than one species, and depending on the social structure or the behavioral changes, the more successful adaptation would have survived or outcompeted the other. That's why you see such vast differences in landscapes between different bird species and different mammal species with regards to size or neck length or shoulder height or body mass. Two animals that are very similarly related, the stronger of the two always outcompetes the other. Bless you. There's Purple Eye over here, Darby. This is the oldest here. Okay, well, we're not going anywhere, everybody. We're going to stay here and bring you some wonderful images from the Djuma Pride. In the meantime, Rowan's got a large bird.
And it just moved behind. Okay, it's going again. So we found a common ostrich, which, in all honesty, is not really that common on andBeyond in Ngala. It's, I think the last time I saw an ostrich was years ago. So there's a nice male. You can see very, very black on the sides, naked kind of neck, also naked legs. But nice to see an ostrich on andBeyond in Ngala. I don't think they don't really do too well here. As you can imagine, good food for cheetah, good food for leopards, lions, although they are rather, or known to be rather aggressive. Massive, massive, massive claws. So yeah, just very odd to see here. I think Eric had the same one yesterday, just the cell phone reception was a little bit down, so we couldn't show it. And it's funny, we found him in exactly the same spot. You see that long neck moving away from us, so slowly walking away in the easterly direction now. But no sign of any other ostrich here, just the one male. It's quite interesting. So, I mean, these are known to, you know, move around nearly, I think it's nearly 20 kilometers a day. So not too far, but this guy is in exactly the same spot. Oh, I wonder what he's looking for. What are you doing? Maybe just poked his head into the ground. Maybe there's a nice small succulent plant there he's deciding to feed on. Not too sure. Actually quite funny. Having such a naked neck, sometimes when they pick up a root or succulent, they'll swallow it whole. You can actually follow the lump down the neck. A very odd bird. So the reason why we're so surprised to see this guy, they are territorial. So, you know, a male here would pretty much mate with up to 4 females. But like I said, I've not seen an ostrich for years now. On andBeyond in Ngala, and most certainly not here, and it's a hard track to miss. So I wonder if this one's trying to set up a territory in this area. So this is more something you would expect to see at Tswalu Kalahari, not really on andBeyond in Ngala. Shelley's asking if it's common for a common ostrich to travel on its own. Absolutely, Shelley. Like I was saying, I mean, the males are territorial, and yeah, you'll find them on their own. The last time I saw an ostrich, it was actually a female with 10 little chicks following her. So you'd find that females and the chicks together, or a male and a female together if they are mating or copulating. But otherwise, yeah, alone is perfectly fine. Perfectly. Odie, that's quite a cool shot. You just see the neck above the dark grass. So yes, Shelley, it's quite common, quite normal. Okay, so we're going to leave this guy be. For now, I'll send you back over to Djuma with some Jackal.
Guys, this is awesome. These are a pair of black-backed jackals. been very patient. We saw them on the other side of the road that runs parallel, and then we came back onto our western boundary. So we're on a main road, and we stopped quite far away from them so that they could come to us. And lo and behold, they are coming. This is awesome. I haven't seen jackals very often. And off they run again. Oh, this is just beautiful. Now, most of the time you will see them in pairs. I'm hoping that if we sit quietly, they'll actually come past the vehicle so we can get a nice view. So let's just sit quietly and watch. Getting closer. Ah, really nice and close now. Hi, just another username. You'd like to know if they're similar to a fox. Oh, they both are canines. A black-backed jackal is a Canis mesomelis. You can definitely see the resemblance with a fox. Oh, this is beautiful. Right at the side of our vehicle now. It's always so rewarding when animals come to you. And giving BK a bit of trouble now going around. Oh, that was a really, really nice, really nice sighting. Really paid off for us to come around this way. When we first saw them, we didn't have good enough signal, and then they darted away. And look at that, really nice couple minute sighting with them. Well done, BK. We've lost them. That was cool, right? I think that was pretty awesome. The light was lovely. They look so healthy and clean. I'm very happy with that. I hope that you guys enjoyed that too. Anyway, let me send you back over to Steve and his lions while I head back into Djuma.
Thanks, Trish. How awesome. Jackal. We don't really see them that much on Djuma, as much as we'd like to. I know Rebecca, who's directing, loves jackal. She goes a bit crazy for jackal, so she was very happy to have seen those. But we are here with the entire Djuma Pride, minus the one nomadic female who we haven't seen in some time, but Tristan is quite confident that she's on her way back, so might even be the reason why the Pride is back on Djuma. They might meet up. It is always an amazing experience to see lions that haven't seen each other in a time. Pride members reuniting. Very heartwarming. Hello, Hadrian. You want to know when males grow their big neck hair? Well, Hadrian, it is a genetic thing. Genetics passed on from dad, depending on the dad sort of growing up. But there's quite a few sort of dynamics behind it. You start seeing from about a year to 2 years. During that period, you start seeing a bit of fluff and hair growing on male lions. We saw that with the Nkuhuma young male who left. He had that, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, it all disappeared. And some people even confused him for a female because he lost his mane. There's some talk behind mane development having something to do with testosterone, and how males, when they start fighting and becoming aggressive, aggressive, start getting more and more mane development. Now, the Nkuhuma young male was in this pride with females only. He was the only boy, and he was big enough to compete with all of them without really having too much of a challenge. So it's possible that that didn't instill or push any testosterone in his system, and maybe that's why he lost his mane. But young males between 2 and 3, it starts becoming quite obvious, the mane development. You even see some of them with a proper little mohawk on the top of the head. But by the time they're 3.5, 4, the mane is almost pretty well established. And then from 4 onwards, it gets very thick and very dense. And obviously, the color, it can go from brown to black or can stay blonde, is also dependent on who dad was and the genetics of the pride. So no big males with the Nkuhumas. Apparently, one of the evokers was seen with them a day and a half ago, all the way south on the Singita properties. That's just an update I got from a friend. Yes, so, as far as I know, the Mapochos did have a stint up here with the Nkuhuma pride, killing some of the pride males back in the day. And there was definitely some breeding with them. So there's definitely some connection between them. But with many of the prides that you'll find around, there's some connection because prides get to a certain size and they split up. For example, the Torchwoods, as well as the Telematis, there's evidence of these prides once being united and separating. As, for example, you can see now there's 7 females with 9 cubs. If these cubs get to a certain size and start competing a lot, the pride gets so big and manageable from a food point of view that you might find 3 of the females splitting off from 4 of them and taking their cubs with and forming a completely new pride. That does happen, but the genetics of the Mapochos runs through many of the prides within the Sabi Sands. They were a formidable coalition that really did dominate all the way up in the north here and then moved further south towards where the evokers, or should I say where their Birminghams moved to, and now some of the evokers have gone to as well. Seems to be the prime real estate as far as the lions go. They all somehow come through the north and then make their way down to the prime game viewing down there. That seems to be the way of it. Why exactly, I couldn't tell you. That big lioness in the middle of frame, who's standing up on cue, that is Amber Eyes. She is a beast. A formidable big lioness. Okay, well, it sounds like andBeyond Ngala has found a jackal as well, so let's quickly send you over there.
Hey, but I gave the jackal fright. Exactly.
Okay, you're back with us, everyone. Not sure what technical issues have happened there, but that's okay. We've got some wonderful content in the form of the Nkuhuma pride perched on top of a termite mound. You can almost be certain they won't be going anywhere from here today. And we'll find them right here and around. Although there are some watchful eyes looking out for some prey. Maybe they'll pick up on the smells and sounds of the buffalo. Buffalo on the other side of the property at the moment. It's almost certain that they tracked them towards this area and then decided to check on the warthog burrow first of all. Not a good time of year for warthogs. That's for sure. We've had such a wonderful experience with this pride. These cubs have gone from 2 to 4, to 3, and then to 4. And there's been a couple mortalities. Amber Eyes lost 1, or was it Purple Eye lost 1 of the 3, or Amber Eyes 1 of the 4, I can't remember. And then Chella had 4 and lost 3. She's still got 1. When I was last year, there's a battler about to go past with something in its mouth there. I don't know if you'll see it. Oh, it's got something quite large. Do you see that? It was flying very low. That was a battler eagle, everybody, that was flying with what looked like a bone. A bone or something in its mouth. I couldn't really see. But it seems like the Unkuhumas were on the property last night. When I found their tracks, they were coming towards Twin Dams, and then they went onto Gowrie Main, and they came along Gowrie Main and came into here. So how they got onto our property, first of all, they might have come through Chitwa and around the side where that battalier has just flown off from. So it's possible that they made a kill last night. A pride of this size, things don't last very long. If they get an impala, it's hors d'oeuvres, really. Even a kudu doesn't go very far. This pride needs big game. They need buffalo, they need giraffe. And that is why prides are split up, is when those big game have become less and less available. Obviously, you need the numbers to pull down the big game, but when you've only got small prey to feed on, the competition becomes so immense. The weakest in the pride struggle. And then certain lionesses decide it's time to move off so that they can basically get food for their cubs. Okay, we're going to try to send you back over to the jackals at andBeyond and Ngala. Hopefully it works this time.
These two are monogamous, and it's actually quite nice. The one on the left is quite a bit paler than the one on the right, this one. And as you can see, they are super relaxed at the moment, just trying to sun themselves. And it's gotten quite a bit colder now as the day progresses. You know, the sun's out, but this breeze is picking up, and this is really actually a cold wind. So these two are just out sunning themselves, trying to warm up. A bit like me, Sean, and OD are doing at this stage. I think all of us have put the blankets back on our legs. And, oh, lovely, there's a giraffe eating a bone. OD. Alexis, who's 5 years old, is chewing the bone now. So, of course, just getting calcium from that bone, which is why the giraffe picked it up. So you're just trying to get the calcium. It might go down again and pick that up. So Alexis, Jackal and Wild Dogs, they are both part of the canine unit of family, Canidae. Hyenas are not, however. So hyenas and jackals are not related, whereas dogs, jackals, wild dogs and wolves are all from the same family. Back to the jackal. Still just peacefully sunning themselves. You can see actually their eyes are starting to go a little bit closed, like a happy dog in the sun. But very, very, very aware of everything going on around them, especially in this wind. You know, this wind changes things quite a bit. It's noisy. It's noisy in the grass. It's noisy in the leaves around them. And of course, they can only smell things from one direction. So they'll have to be constantly aware of everything going on around them. So they'll turn their heads quite a bit this way and that way. Beautiful, beautiful animals. Very pretty pattern. Stunning little face. Also very clever. Cunning, really, and brave. I know there was a video posted not too long ago about a jackal sneaking up to a male lion and biting its tail. Quite funny. Very, very brave. Although, again, there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. I would not go up and bite a male lion's tail. See, the eyes are getting smaller and smaller. Just enjoying the sun. as you can imagine, quite well camouflaged. If they weren't in the open like this, and they go into the like longer grass a little bit behind them, you'd not see them at all, just maybe the tips of the ears. Oh, so nice with the sun heating us up. Okay, we're going to leave them be, let them sun themselves, let them enjoy the sun coming up. We're going to go back north in the other direction, see what else we can find. On the way here, it looked like we had two big male elephants, little bit off the road, but they looked like they were coming closer towards the road. We're going to see if they are actually on the road. Okay. A beautiful open clearing here. This is known as Manyaleti First Clearing. So just off to the side, lovely view of the Drakensberg Mountains. So last night was a strawberry moon, and we were all hoping to catch this moonrise, and of course it was just cloudy everywhere, so no moon at all. But seeing the moon set this morning was also quite spectacular. So we're hoping that tonight this cloud bank here to our right would fade away and we get to watch the moonrise. Okay, let's see if these elephants are anywhere close by. Yeah, there we go. You can see the bum of one. And the other one is walking away a little bit further. So actually going to go a little bit closer to them. See the big bum? Quite nice. They looked to be, rather oldish males, so I don't think we'll have any trouble with them as we approach. Of course, we're not going to go too close, and of course, we're not going to go straight ahead at him, so we'll actually turn just slightly after this bush so that we don't want the elephant to feel that we are approaching him head on and challenging him at all. So for now, we'll just stick to showing you the bum. Looks like he's trying to pull grass right below that quarry. And what he was doing was he's twisting grass around his trunk as much as possible. I think just trying to get as much as possible. There we go, very, very wrinkly. But quite a nice set of tusks on him, and a little bit dirty, except for the ends. I think he might have just been playing around in the mud, maybe even trying to dig for roots or tubers or something like that. You can see the end of it is now clean, so maybe he's been trying to cut grass with it. He'll pull it with his trunk and then use a tusk to cut it, so it might have just cleaned off the tips. Rebecca, who's chatting to me from Final Control from FC, is saying this elephant looks unusually large. It is quite a big boy, and I'm going to actually try to go forward so you can get the face and the tusk, because those are quite good looking tusks. They don't look particularly thick. Just going to park us like this. Odie, does that work? Well, as you can see, even behind the elephant, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Clear view of the Drakensberg Mountains. And this wind is just cleaning the air up quite nicely. So even now you can see the clear difference between the dirty tusk and the clean tusk at the tip that I was talking about. Someone needs to brush his teeth. It's such a beautiful animal. Even seeing his eyes, they're not wide open at all. It's almost like he's sleeping and walking and feeding at the same time. There's a lot of multitasking going on. I like watching them walk. It's like there's no rush in the world. Just slowly going towards another clump of bushes to feed on. See, the wind is actually blowing his ear forward. Looks like he's got quite a few cuts in his ears from the past. Maybe as he was walking through trees, branches hooked to it, and just makes little tears and rips. Very, very big ear. I think me and Sean were discussing it the other day. How much does an elephant ear weigh? Something, I think it was 20 kilograms, just the ear of an African elephant. I always found it very peaceful. Well, if they're in a good mood. As you can see, this guy's didn't even turn his head to look at us while we were driving towards him. Quite nice. Very, very relaxed. Basically just eating anything that they can find. Just eating grass for a while, now he's eating bushes. The other one's eating grass. Alrighty, so I'm going to change our... Just going to go ahead of this gari bush. So yeah, you can see the other male elephant, slight bit younger. Oh, okay. Sounds like the lioness that Steve's with is up and alert, so we're going to send you back over to him.
Sorry. Sorry, everybody. She's decided to move. Now, we thought she was going to hunt something, so we followed her away from the pride, and now she's going back. Seems like she hasn't seen anything. She was staring off into the bushes there for some time and trying to sniff whatever she can smell. And now she's coming back to the shade. Always nice to try and follow and see what's going on. Oh, wow. Well, let's quickly send you over to Tswalu. They've got something very interesting.
So we've actually just had a pair of ant-eating chats go for an armoured ground cricket. So this one is probably going to hop to its left now, or straight ahead of it, because the other bird is just in front of it to the left. There, you can see him there. And they actually caught an armoured ground cricket. We missed the actual kill, but they were hopping around and shaking it around and pulling it to bits and pieces. That was a bit gory, but it's interesting to note that these birds are even eating those armoured ground crickets. And, too often you hear people, no, nothing eats these armoured ground crickets. They're disgusting things. They are incredibly important for the environment. And those of you who've been following us or joining us on the game drives the past 2 weeks, you would have seen that Jandre and I've kind of taken a bit of a liking to armoured ground crickets. But the numbers are really dropping off quickly, but they're still an important food source. And while we're at it, I just want to say, Melanie Mark II, Gibson, Mel Gibson, he's got some decor, but he's still with us, yellowing a little bit on the outside, but still doing well. Can anyone identify what feather this belongs to? I mean, what bird this feather belongs to? Who does this feather belong to? And don't say the melon, because it's not. Because we know melons don't grow feathers. So if there's a quiz for the day. Anyone can tell us who this feather belongs to. It'll be pretty cool. All right, but think about it and come back to us with the answers. We're going to carry on ambling up here and see what we can find.
Freezing. Anyway. Well, thanks, Dylan. What feather have you got in your cap, I wonder? Who knows? I'd like to see it too. It's probably some bird I haven't seen before. There's many birds over that side of the world I've yet to tick down on my list. I spent a bit of time in the Namibian sort of Kalahari, but not in the Northern Cape. So the Northern Cape is definitely on my bucket list of things to do. Tswalu was back last night, and she was chatting a lot about her little experience there, because she went over with Alex from the tech team and Genre to help set everything up. So she was telling us about how wonderful it is. But I know that part of the world, when I was in Namibia, I saw aardvark and bat-eared foxes on my first night, and 7 aardvarks in a week, and pangolin in my first week. So that part of the world is where you see those little things in abundance. My lions are all slowly relaxing. They're very alert though. You see, that one's a bit sleepy. Oh, she's up. But all 4 of these adults are pretty alert to the goings-on, surveying their territory, and trying to figure out what's been going on in Djuma since they were last here. And there we go. You see, they've all got it on their nose now. Now tell me lions don't hunt by their nose, everybody. And I'll tell you, they do. Okay, so one lioness could smell something before, and that's got it going, and now they can all smell it. And this is what we've been waiting for. Okay, I'm just going to slowly reverse backwards so that we can get a better view. The lions are starting to jog down the road there. That's not a very effective way of hunting. It's not a very effective way of hunting. When they run like that, it means it's an animal that they don't really have to stalk up to. It means it might be buffalo. Hunting buffalo is a very different strategy to that of stalking concealed and fast, elusive prey. Buffalo herds, once the pride finds them, they've got very particular strategies with regards to hunting them. And it doesn't normally require any stealth. The herd cannot really get away. As James Hendry always says, if the buffalo just knew that if they stood their ground, they would be formidable and unbreachable. Let's see if we can just slowly track behind these lions. We're hoping for a little bit more of a downhill there. Apologies, I'm going to have to start up again. Dave likes these nice slow tracking shots, don't you, Davy? Let's go slowly behind them. Fortunately, that if these lions go too far, they're going to cross into Little Gowrie. But the smells that they're picking up on could be coming from the other side of the boundary. It's hard to tell. Okay, I'm just going to stop here because the wind has really picked up. And the lions have responded to it. And it's very obvious to see how all 4 of them and all 3 of these ones have definitely picked up. And now they're listening. The smell is blowing directly towards them. The lioness in the front looks like she spotted something. She's unsure. That is Amber Eyes in the front. And we were discussing earlier who is the leader. When Amber Eyes gets moving, things happen. Now, just to pre-warn you, if anything does happen here, you see how the lionesses are now splitting up, 2 there, 1 to the right. If anything does happen here, I just warn you that it can sometimes be quite upsetting. So, but it is wild, it is what nature does. And if those sort of things aren't your cup of tea, then rather just look away. But the sensitivity behind hunting and kills is quite crazy sometimes. But the animals have evolved to avoid being detected, to avoid being killed, and the lions have evolved to be better hunters. And it's an arms race constantly. Lions get better, and the prey gets better. But it's never the easiest thing to watch if they do catch something. But their success rates are often very low, around 20%. And obviously some lions are better than others, and in a pride, hunting is easier, and wind plays an important part as well. Well, they're going straight to the boundary. These 3 lionesses lionesses. Let's try get onto the side of them and see if we can see what they're being or smelling. But there's a very good chance entire Pride is going to get up and follow them now. The wind blew in our favor for a moment, got the Djuma Pride onto Djuma, and now they are leaving. Don't leave. Oh, sorry, Darby. Don't leave, Amber Eyes. Hadrian, that's a good question. It's not easy for me to tell you that, but the wind, if the wind picks up, those smells can sort of waft quite far. How far exactly? I would say probably no more than 1 kilometer, but I really am not sure. It depends on what smells are in the air. The smell of buffalo dung, for example, can be wafted quite far, but then the smell of a dead animal is far more attractive to a lion because that's much easier. A dead animal smell, or the smell of a stomach content, when a leopard lifts it up a tree, and that sort of smell is so inviting to hyena and lion alike, as well as to leopard. Oh, they're going to walk behind us. No, turn. Hello, beautiful lionesses. So she's running now. Amber Eyes is on the trot. Unfortunately, everybody, we cannot go on the right over here. But these 3 lionesses are running into the bushes there. Here comes a 4th lioness running. Okay, well, while we watch these lions disappear into the thickets, the rest of the Pride is still on our side for now. Let's send you back over to that big elephant bull at andBeyond in Ngala.
Live. Okay, so we are still with both of these elephants, and they just slowly ambling around, eating here or there, and it's quite nice to see, not really fussed about what they eat, especially this time of year. So, you know, they'll go to a guarri tree, eat some guarri, then they'll go to a resin bush, eat some resin bush, and then they pick up grass and just eat grass. So anything to fulfill that basically 250 to 300 kilograms of food a day. So they are literally just going to eat all day. And then, of course, with that is also a lot of poo. So they eat, they fertilize, they eat, they fertilize. Wonderful animals. But especially now in winter time, you know, the grass is dry. There's not really too many nice leaves stuck on marillas or even knob thorns. So they are literally just trying to eat anything to maintain their size. See, the one is out in the open now. They basically just right next to each other. We are pretty much 50, 60 meters behind them and just keeping a safe distance. And they haven't reacted to us at all. Not even once whatsoever, which is nice. So what I'm going to try to do is go to the right of them, because we've got the sun on our right. So it might just be nicer with them walking basically away from the sun, but we'll get a better view from this side. Nice if we could line both of them up. See, the younger bull, a lot like thicker tusks. Tasha has asked, do elephant tusks ever get in the way? Do they get too long? Tasha, it has happened before. Don't know if you've ever heard about tuskers, so elephants with very, very, very long tusks. Their tusks actually got so long, or some of them, that, you know, some of them couldn't walk anymore. The tusks were just too long, dragging on the ground. And yeah, so absolutely, it does happen. We don't have any of those tuskers up here, but I know East Africa, they've got quite a few tuskers left. So sorry, Tasha, a tusker is an elephant who has a tusk that weighs more than 100 pounds. So you can imagine, very, very, very large. But yeah, if you want to, you know, maybe Google tuskers on the internet, and you'd be able to see how long some of these tusks have, or actually were, that they could just lean forward and fall asleep on their tusks. Some of them couldn't walk anymore, couldn't move anymore because the tusks got too long. So while it's magnificent to see, I think it's a little bit hard for them. But even Owen was saying, the one that he's focused on now, those are the longest tusks he's seen since he's been here on andBeyond in Ngala. It's actually quite nice to see. But like I said, not too thick though. The other male has thicker tusks, but not as long. So more just genetic diversity. I mean, a lot of fun following them. Very peaceful. Okay. So we might stick with them for a little while longer until they go into thicker vegetation where we're not going to follow them and crush over bushes. But for now, send you back over to Tswalu with some mongoose.
They certainly are cute. Oh, they didn't like me saying they're cute. No, it was the sound of the hornbills nearby. Can you hear them? I'm horrible at bird sounds, everybody. But that's what I like. And they have a good relationship with the mongoose. These are dwarf mongoose. And they listen very carefully to what the hornbills have to say. Remember that they eat similar things. Looking for insects on the ground. You often see hornbills on the ground, and hornbills will sometimes wait for mongoose to come out, while mongoose will sometimes wait for hornbills to come out, and then they begin feeding together. The same goes with starlings and the occasional drongo that sometimes takes advantage of them. It's nice and warm now. They like the warm weather, and they wait for the sun to rise. Now you'll notice that they're, or maybe you can't actually notice, but they're on the eastern side of the mound. So this is the side of the mound that's going to be collecting lots of sunlight at the moment. And in the evenings, oh, hello you. In the evenings, they'll be on the western side, trying to follow the sun. Remember, they have small bodies, so they're going to be losing heat quite quickly. So they want to keep it nice and warm. So morning routine includes getting out, sunbathing, grooming, and then going out to find some food. That's a pretty good routine. A couple yawns. Oh, hello, little one. Too sweet. I love these guys. I really do. Well, I mean, I love all the things. It's very hard for me to choose favorites. It's probably the worst thing I can do is choose a favorite. Dylan, you'd like to know if these mongoose have callings or sounds? They do. I'm very bad at making them, but I will try. No, can't do it. Hang on. That was not my mic breaking up. It was in fact me attempting to do a dwarf mongoose call. They're basically sharp, high-pitched calls, yeah. And the squeals almost. When I hear it, I will point it out. The me you're hearing in the background is a rattling testicular that's unhappy about something. But these guys, you can hear them quite well once they're out foraging, because that's when they need to be communicating, and they make a lot more noise when they're moving about than when they're just at the mound and have just started their day. Now, these guys can also be habituated. You've been spending some time with Dylan at Tswalu, and he's shown you the meerkats and how you can spend time with them and habituating them. And the guides there spend the morning and the afternoon with the meerkats, and in order to get them familiar with, or rather to maintain that familiarity, and comfortability. And you can do a similar thing with dwarf mongoose. The closest I've come is on bushwalks when we used to have them. If you sit quietly for a long time and sit still, then basically what happens is they realize that you're not a threat. Of course, you don't want them to touch you and all that kind of thing, and they've never come close enough for that to happen. But they've come within, say, 10 to 15 meters, which is, I think, pretty impressive. But there have been groups that people have habituated, especially when they're near people's homes, because then they become very acclimatized to people. Hi, Moon Dust. You'd like to know, do they actually live in family units? They do. They have an alpha male and an alpha female that are basically dominant, and there's a rank within the group, and they're the ones that will actually mate. There's subordinate members, obviously, and they always differ when it comes to food and space, places to lie down, places to relax, and things like that, sunspots. And, of course, they also have status. Like I said, they are in a hierarchy, there's rank, so the status can also be improved by doing various things. Babysitting is a big one. And you'll see that they have a very, I would love to witness it, but a very strange way to determine who's going to be dominant once, say, one of the alpha pair has died, which they have a groom off. And then they become covered in saliva. Which I think is quite interesting. The groups can also get quite large. This is actually quite a large group because when we arrived here, there might have been about, I'd say maybe 15 individuals out. But they can even have groups that are double that, occasionally even more. So when we were talking about that alpha pair, what that is called biologically is cooperative breeders. But there's something more interesting than cooperative breeders, and that is Steve with his cubs running. So let's go over to him.
Don't worry about that. We're going to stick it on that coffee here. Thank you.
Okay, copied. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Well, the Nkuma lionesses have jumped onto a buffalo. We can hear it. We had a brief visual of it through there. The lion, and you're just going through the gap there. You can't hear it now, but this like the whole pride now has come and joined. They've run across the road. You can probably hear it. Fortunately, we have no access. Had a quick view of a lion on the buffalo's back, holding on like that. And that's what the lions try and do, is to get on the back and to pull the back haunches down, because the horns are very, very dangerous. I wasn't able to see whether it was a bull or it was maybe a herd, or maybe a young female, should I say. But the cubs are now calling. Okay, everyone. Well, we're going to try to see if we can get a gap in the vegetation and see what's unfolding. Meantime, over to Tswalu Kalahari with another antelope.
It's quite a fun sighting. This is a roan antelope. It's a roan antelope male. Quite rare these days in most reserves, although we've got what seems to be a good population on Tswalu. We're not sure of the exact numbers, but it's a growing population, doing really well. And interestingly, if you look at the historical occurrence of large mammals, not just large mammals, but anything, you can look at historical records, early explorers, early hunters, missionaries, the local people, local cultures that recorded what game was in the area. If you're starting a reserve, you can say, okay, well, what animals occurred, and you can look at those kind of records. And the roan antelope, the species that we're looking at now, is actually one of those that had been eradicated from these areas probably going back 100 years, no, probably even more than 100 years ago. And yet there's a lot of records of them in this area. So this is just like one nice example of a species that's actually been reintroduced into these areas, and it seems to be doing well. There are obviously other species in other areas where it becomes a little bit more challenging. Sable are a really well-known example in South Africa that used to occur over a wide area, and to the point that they were so abundant that they were frequently used as rations. That's how commonly they were encountered. And yet these days there's very few reserves that you can go onto and see any appreciable numbers of sable, as an example. So what this bull's doing now, and then you can actually see from behind, he's definitely a bull. For those of you wondering how we can tell at a distance. And also your bulls tend to be solitary as opposed to your females moving in herds. You do get bachelor herds of males, so you can get 4, 5, 6, 7 males moving around together. But these older bulls tend to go by themselves. And what he's actually doing now, he's actually foraging on a creeper, and I'll show it to you now. I'll bring a piece there. It's like really dry and scraggly now. You'll see if I crush it, it just literally goes to powder. But it's still very nutritious, and it's called a gemspak cucumber. So it looks kind of gets that size, very, very spiky fruit. Everyone loves eating it. So the porcupines, antelope, a lot of things eat it. But those have now passed over. But these dried stalks of the creeper are still all over the ground. And that's what that roan's actually walking around eating. We were watching him picking it up earlier. And the name gemspak cucumber comes from the fact that gemspak love eating it. Ostrich feather, we have a winner. Ostrich feather, well done, Megan. Good job. I think that was one of my easier quizzes so far. But Jandra and I will come up with a cunning one tomorrow. And just out of interest, if you look closely here, we've determined that Gibson, or Mel Gibson, is a seedy character. Look in his mouth. You can start, as he's drying out, you can start seeing the seeds there. But so we're going to amble down this road and see what else we can find for you. And in the meantime, head back to our colleagues in the low veld and see what they're up to that side.
So we left the elephant in the clearing, going into a more thicker vegetation, and literally drove 100 meters down, and it's so nice. There's a Dazov zebra here of about 21. There are 3 wildebeest lying down behind them, and then a number of impalas, males and females, all mixed together. And again, it's this weather, it's this wind that is just, causing this. They don't want to move too far because they can't hear things like they usually would. They're just hearing the grass and the bushes blowing in the wind, so everything's making a lot of noise. And And of course, they're only sniffing things from the southeast, from that direction. So they would rather stay here where they know it's safe. It's very nice and open. The grass is quite flat here. So everything's just staying together. And yeah, 21 zebra. It's quite the dazzle. Very nice. And it's weird to see, but they're in groups of like 4 here, 4 there, 3, 5, and so on and so forth. You can see a number of them actually starting to wake up. So every now and then you just see a zebra yawning or stretching or even rolling around on the ground. But for now, I've only seen the one stallion. But beautiful setting, backlit like that. Nice to see all the animals together like this. Of course, more ears, more eyes, better security, which is why you'll find the wildebeest here with the zebra, with the impala. They're not going to eat each other. None of them hunt the other one. And I think wildebeest and zebra, they eat different lengths of grass. So even that, they're not really competing for the same food. Whereas impalas can eat both grass and browse from bushes. It's lovely. Different species mixing together. The wildebeest being the laziest ones. I can't even see one wildebeest standing up. All of them are lying down. With a zebra, it's only one zebra lying down. You often find this big dazzle right here. They'll move around this area, feed, big open clearings, feed. But I'm hoping that maybe this afternoon we can find them here again, but on the other side of the road we'll be able to catch them with a stunning sunset in the back. Well, that's what I'm hoping for. A nice thing to photograph. And then from where we are, we might actually be able to see a nice moonrise as well. Okay, so it seems we've got 20 minutes left, but yeah, we would love to hear from you. Comments, questions, please send them through. #WildEarth on Twitter and Twitch, or if you're watching on YouTube, @FC, and then they'll send their questions straight through to me. For now, we're going to leave these zebras, let them slowly wake up. You can see all the tails wagging, starting to shoo away flies or any other parasites might be biting them. Let them be, let them feed, have their breakfast, wake up slowly, and then we are going to head onwards back towards the Timbavati River, which is in that ridge over there. See what else we can find in these last 20 minutes. Okay, so we're hoping for the best for you guys. We're going to send you back over to Steve just for an update, see what's happening with this lion and the buffalo.
Thanks, Rowan. Well, we saw one of the cubs pop out here in the riverbed. They've been calling, trying to get involved with the buffalo kill, but cubs really shouldn't get involved with the kill. It's quite a dangerous affair. And it's like the buffalo was coming closer and closer to this river itself. This is the Milwati, south of our boundary, but we can't get in there, unfortunately. So we're just trying to listen. But it sounds like the buffalo stopped shouting. Exciting. Not so exciting for the buffalo, of course, but we spoke about how the lions are moving. That very deliberate movement is how they hunt buffalo. No need for stealth. Now pick an individual, either a lone bull, or try isolate a member from the herd, ideally a youngster, but it looked like a big one that they took. I wasn't sure if it was female or male. I just saw a lion getting a piggyback ride. That's the way it is. Sometimes we're lucky. But if they do make this kill, that will be them on that for a few days. There goes the cub. There goes the cub. That was one of the little ones. Now I wonder why it's suddenly run across. It probably means that the danger has passed. You can hear the little cubs calling again. They're joined by the vehicles also trying to get a long distance view. Elijah, that's a good question. When a lioness or pride go for buffalo, they generally have a very good success because the buffalo really struggles to get away. Once they've caught a buffalo and they've isolated one, got it away from the herd, they're normally quite good at bringing it down. Obviously, there's techniques involved, and the Nkumas are buffalo hunters. If you've never hunted buffalo before, it's a very difficult thing to do. But if the rest of the pride, or should I say the rest of the herd, or another bull comes to help, that can sometimes swing in the favor of the buffalo. But it's why bulls are often hunted, because they're on their own and they have no protection and no support. Sort of nature's natural way of removing the old. Buffalo bulls on their own are normally old, retiring bulls that have sort of moved away, and they get selectively removed. The fit, strong breeding bulls remain in the herd, and they have the protection of their friends and fellows. Okay, so there hasn't been another bellow, which means I feel like that buffalo has either escaped or been brought down. What are you thinking, Darby? Brought down, eh? It's brought down. And this is Little Gowrie just below us. This river, the Mawati, runs all the way down to Mala Mala. And it's a favourite sort of thoroughfare for many of our animals. Got a hyena in the road up ahead that's responded to these calls. This hyena's thinking, I don't know if I want to go in there. I would like some scraps, but there's no chance I'm going to compete with the Djuma Pride. No chance at all. Okay, well, I think that's it for now. We're going to go up the hill, maybe we'll get a good view, or a view, or anything. Let's give it a try. Blocking the road at the moment. Excuse me for my revs, I'm still in low range. Just going to have another listen. See, lions aren't as loud and as vociferous when they're feeding on a buffalo because there's plenty to go around. The cubs, though, make a lot of noise when there's a kill, regardless of the size, because they're all competing with each other for the best spots. So I'm not hearing feeding noises, are you, Darby? And the wind is coming from that direction. We should be able to hear it. If we can hear that meow, meow, the cubs, you'd be able to hear feeding. Nothing. I'll move up a little bit further. Now, the Nkumas are expert buffalo hunters. I've yet to see them bring down buffalo, but in the year before I got here, there was a drought. They hunted and killed many, many buffalo, and we found them on a few buffalo on the property since I've been here. But we were hoping that today was going to be the day I saw them bring it down. But I got a moment of a piggybacking buffalo or lioness on a buffalo back, which is quite an incredible thing to see. Bear in mind, a buffalo bull, if it is a bull, weighs between 800 and 950 kilograms, where that lioness is in the region of 130 to 140 kilograms. So it is a beast of an animal to be brought down and very, very dangerous. Well, another animal the lions need a pride to deal with. Taylor has got one of those.
Thinking. That is true, and I have indeed seen the Djuma Pride try and catch giraffe before, but unsuccessful. But luckily for these giraffe, there don't seem to be any lions nearby, or none that I can see. But we're back on Pridelands. We've been doing loops and laps, trying to follow up on a female leopard, but unfortunately she gave us the slip, and she was just a few steps ahead. But with these giraffe around and moving through this drainage line that's lined with tamboti trees, who knows what they might bump into. And many times we've seen a giraffe pointing out predators before, so that could be on the cards. There's that one that's just moving very, very far away, but there is a better view of a giraffe. It's just not in the best light, I'm afraid. But perhaps we can have a look at it, because he's nice and close. He's just munching about at the moment. There he is. Look how camouflaged he is. He's shaded in a really big tamboti tree and has just got beautiful dappled lighting now on his face. So you can see he's a mature giraffe. Look at that big lump on his forehead. So not the ossicones, those things protruding from between his ears. But that's very typical of male giraffe, and that's another way that you can sort of ID them, is as they start to get older, they get all these calcifications on their face. And I suppose that also helps as like a bit of a protection to the face when they are fighting one another and swinging those heads around. He's not very old, though. Not too bad. Doing what the buffaloes were doing earlier and also ruminating. Wait, careful. Not afraid to bundu bash. He's just going to charge on through there. But this is a lovely section that we have found ourselves in. We're quite far on the west of Pridelands. And I don't know what this drainage line is called, but it's filled with tamboti trees, and at this time of the year, they're really pretty. Can we have a look, Gert, at maybe this tamboti tree, and then there's that other one that's also going quite red. So at this time of the year, it's really nice. You can spot the tambotis from a mile away because they've got bright red leaves. Those green leaves are now turning yellow and red. You can see over there, and I always say that it looks like they're on fire. So if you're unsure where to find water or you're a bit lost, you're not going to be looking for all the green trees lining the edges of drainage lines or rivers, but now you can look for the bright red leaves, which is very cool. And the giraffe will feed on these trees too. Even though they are slightly toxic, they are able to combat those toxins. Now, Melinda, if you look closely at a giraffe's head, you can quite easily tell the difference between a male and female, but of course he's going to disappear. But I don't know if you noticed when we had a nice close-up of him that he had sort of balding ossicones. So did you see that? So on top of those the horns, they're not horns, the hair had completely receded, and then with females they normally have long tufts. Otherwise you can look underneath the belly and you can sort of see the bump. That is the sheath of the penis for a male, and then the females of course don't have that. And you can look for their mammary glands between their back legs. I'll see if we can get another view. I think our signal is actually really good in this area. No. Oh, he's coming out, which is awesome. I can't wait to have some big herds of buffalo come through here. There we go. He's come out quite nicely. This is much better lighting. It also just goes to show how big these trees that are surrounding this giraffe, because he's fairly tall. He's not going to get much taller than that. He is mature. There's a couple of big giraffe bulls that roam around in this area, but they're much darker than him. And I think they're slightly more dominant than this fella. They're almost black in coloration. And now he's just nibbling on What is he eating? A knobthorn? Yeah, looks like he's feeding on a knobthorn. One that elephants have tipped over for him. It's a young one. But you can see instead of sticking his long tongue out, he's just sort of nibbling and very gently taking the leaves off of that tree, because the tree is covered in thorns, as the name suggests. You normally see giraffe using their tongues when they're feeding on vegetation that's, a little bit higher than them. Then they'll stretch their necks right up and stick out those very, very long tongues and wrap them around the vegetation and then pull them down. But there's no need to do that. And also, I said, the prickles must hurt on their tongues. As tough as what they are, I still think it would be quite sore. So it's rather better just to pull a couple of leaves off at a time. But that skin around their muzzle, it will be quite tough too. Off he goes. Where are you going? Where's your friend gone? I don't think that they're necessarily friends. Giraffe don't spend too much time with one another. But again, safety in numbers, so they're just moving with each other. And later this afternoon or tomorrow or the next day, they could split off and do their own thing. Maybe he's going to show us now how he uses his long tongue. He looked like he was going to stretch. Well, he sort of stretched up a little bit. No. Sticking it out a little bit more. Yes, there we go. Sussing it out. This also is a nice shot of his lovely long eyelashes too. He doesn't know what he's trying to do. Which groceries do I grab from the trees? Very indecisive. Too many options. Well, before Trishala's bird flies away, let's go and take a look at a lovely lapwing.
Thank you, Taylor. Luckily, these birds have a habit of hanging around. Yes, very long legs, from one set of long legs to another. It is a blacksmith lapwing. Little lonely sitting here or standing here at Gallego Pan. Now, because it's starting to dry up and we're no longer receiving any rain, pans that we know where water is at, like Gallego Pan, Buffelshoek Dam, Treehouse Dam, Twin Dams, those are the main water points. So that's a good place to have a look if you see leopard or lion tracks, or to just pop in to look for maybe elephants, which is what I was hoping to find here. When there's a lot of rain and a lot of water around, then all the little depressions in the ground, little pans collect water. And that means that an animal doesn't have to particularly go to a water point, as in one of the dams, to have a drink or to have a play, like an elephant would. So it actually works quite well when you're trying to find an animal. But at the moment, it's just our lapwing here at Gallego Pan. Now, I've been seeing leopard tracks all around, but I know that Tlalamba was in this area yesterday, and Hukumuri and Shudulu have been walking around just a little bit south of here. So I've been seeing tracks galore, but none of them are particularly fresh. So I thought, let me just check here in case. I was hoping maybe our lapwing would call for us. You can definitely count on lapwings and Cape turtle doves to be at this pan. No turtle doves though, just our lapwing. Now they're called blacksmith lapwings because they often make the sound of a blacksmith kind of like hitting their, against their anvil. Don't ask me to make that sound because you heard how bad my sound of birds is. I do a great hardy-dat though, I must admit. Small and sweet and sometimes overlooked because they're common. but all these little things count too. And if you think that they count as well, and you love being out on safari with us, please do follow the prompts on the screen that should be coming up now to our support page, because we would love to continue to bring these wonderful animals to your home. The sound of the Cape Turtle Dove. But alas, Lapwing doesn't want to call for us. I'll make the call for you. Ding, 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 ding. That's how it sounds to me, at least. Anyway, let me send you back over to Tswalu with Dylan. I believe they have a giraffe.
Old bull giraffe, and I believe Trish was chatting about how you can tell the difference between males and females. So he has a very, very nice example where you can see the lack of hair on top of those ossicones. We often just call them horns, just a lot of people understand that better, but they are called ossicones, and you can see they bear on top, same as me. And then, interestingly as well, you'll notice that big lump between the ossicones and the eyes on the center of the giraffe's head there. And if he turns his head around, you'll actually see similar growths on the back of his head. So what happens is that the bones in the giraffe's head, you just get calcium deposition right through the giraffe's life. So the heads actually just get heavier and heavier and heavier. And if you've ever seen two male giraffe challenging each other or sparring over females, they just kind of stand side on and then they swing their necks and hit each other with their heads. So the thinking there is that males that are larger, stronger, heavier, they got these bigger heads that can actually hit harder, tend to be the more dominant ones. Always looks like a bit of a hand, with the 2 ears, the 2 ossicones on top over there. And one of my favorite things at Tswalu to see at sunset, and hopefully over the coming weeks we'll be lucky enough to see it. You get a herd or journey, colloquial sort of term for them, of giraffe moving over a dune crest at sunset. It is gorgeous. Sunset, you only get one species of giraffe in South Africa, and that's this one, the southern giraffe. And there are a number of other giraffe species through Africa, and some of them are actually, all giraffe now are regarded as vulnerable or endangered, which is quite sad. If you think, even 40 years ago, there were tens of thousands of giraffe, hundreds of thousands. And now the numbers, I reckon, are down to about 110,000 in total left, which is very sad. So their numbers are dropping, and in the coming days we can actually discuss that more in detail as to why giraffe numbers are declining throughout their range. So for us, it's a real privilege to be able to sit here and watch these animals. They're just really peaceful. And guys, well, it's been lovely having you with us. Join us tomorrow, this afternoon, and we're going to hopefully show you some really good stuff. Have a great day from Tswalu Kalahari and our colleagues in the Lowveld. Thank you very much.